Today was the last day you could purchase NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV for the lowest price. Did you cave?
I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh yeah.
No, I didn't know.
So you didn't buy yet?
Not yet, but I
Oh, you got
will.
time, my friend. You got time. And if you want to do it, because I went back and forth on it last night. I was like, shit. I mean, what's the deal going to be? Am I going to watch Red Zone for most of the year? Am I going to be at bars for most of the year to watch these games? And at the end of the day, I was like, all right, $249. I'm not. I just re-upped on my rent. They're knocking off the first month. I got a little extra change in my pocket. I'm going to do it, but I could be wasting it's a one-time payment of $249, but it's worth it just to have and see if this is actually worth it. And then next year I can decide this was a waste of money.
Yeah, I'd say you do that. Give it a shot. I've never had Sunday Ticket before, so I think me and my brother are going to split it. I don't know if my mom's going to be using Sunday Ticket anytime soon.
She doesn't have a football team?
No, she doesn't have a. I mean,
American football team, I should say.
She likes to. She actually used to like the Cowboys.
What, Jenny? She's an A's/Cowboys fan?
She moved here from England when they were America's team, and she had like a crush on Troy Aikman. Still does. We have a Christmas ornament of Troy Aikman. Actually, it's bizarre.
I love Troy.
Yeah. Oh, he looks rather good, doesn't he? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I bought that last night, and I'm debating whether or not I made a mistake, but it's good just to have just in case.
Yeah, it's a fallback option. You need to have it. Plus, there's only so many trips you can take to the athletic club in Oakland and realize that there's no seats available.
That is true, unless you get there early.
Yeah, but who wants to get anywhere early when you could be in the comfort of your own home at any time?
That is true, but you know me, I'm always going to ask everybody to come to the athletic club every week.
Yep.
What's going on, everybody? Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. We took a little time off from the weekend because, to be honest, there's not a lot going on right now. I mean, there's the finals, Stanley Cup final. A little bit of we got some NFL news today, Stephen. See all the mandatory minicamp news?
No, I was focused on golf.
We'll get to that too. We'll definitely get to that too.
Golf is far more interesting than whatever mandatory minicamp stories that have come about.
I agree with you. We'll talk NFL. We'll talk live merging with the PGA today, which is just a big fuck you to a lot of people that passed on a shit ton of money. Good Lord.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably want to talk about Luis Ariz and his season going on right now.
I don't buy into the whole becoming the first 400 hitter since Tony Gwynn. I don't think that's going to happen, but I mean, it's cool to see what's going on. I wasn't planning on talking Luis Ariz today. There's plenty to get into, and yeah, we got the.
No, there is.
We got and some of the mandatory minicamp stuff is okay, I guess, for fodder.
Yeah, I mean, it's good fodder, but we'll kind of break it down a little bit smaller, and I'll ask our audience, and I'll ask the Ernies who are on the chat as always, good loyal listeners. Are the podcasts too long? Do we go on for too long? Like, let me know, because I just started listening to the New Heights podcast with Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce, and this is where, like, I don't like listening to podcasts during the season for whatever reason. I need my NFL fix, so I go to these podcasts in the off season, and their podcasts are long, like an hour, like kind of like ours, like an hour and 30 minutes. So I don't know if people enjoy that, but it's an extremely popular podcast, maybe because they're two athletes hosting a podcast. But I don't know. I mean, should we trim this down a little bit shorter? Let us know. We'll take your feedback.
Trim the fat.
Trim the
fat. That's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to trim a little fat. We trim the fat on the pod, trim the fat in life.
You trying to get into a nice suit by Saturday for John Curley's wedding?
That's partly, yes. Yeah, that is part of it. Yep.
So you're just gonna go on like a whole, I don't want to be disrespectful, but you start throwing up just to get into a suit.
I'm gonna be like, what's his name? Russell Okung. Is that his first name?
Yeah, dude. I saw that he fasted for 40 days, just drink water.
40 straight days, and goes down from 330 pounds to, he said 100 plus. It looked like he lost 200, to be honest. It looked like he was like 130.
Probably
side by side photo. Yeah.
I mean, shit. He was an offensive lineman. Yeah, he probably lost about 200 pounds. That
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just drinking water. That's insane. But anyway, yeah. Let us know if well, they already said they like the length of the podcast. So hey,
Hi. Okay. Thanks, Ernie's.
but Steven thinks we go a little bit too long. So we'll see how long we go today. We're gonna introduce two new segments. Well, one segment we usually do, but we're gonna actually have a name for it. I didn't even told you this, Steven. But we're gonna introduce two new segments today that kind of condense a little bit more of our topics.
Uh-huh.
Maybe three actually off the top here.
Mm.
By the way, speaking of the Kelseys, pretty good podcast. Was listening to that. Don't mind promoting people's podcasts on this podcast. It's fun little podcast they do. Um, Unrelated, I was going through some YouTube videos. Have you seen Kirk Morrison fill in for Rich Eisen? Rich Eisen
No.
show. Kirk Morrison is fantastic.
Yeah.
Doing his thing in LA. I think he's on the Rams pre and post broadcasts, and he fills in for Rich Eisen from time to time. I just watched a quick video of him the other day. He's got former Raider, great. I mean, okay linebacker. He's doing a really good job as an on air personality.
Talking about what?
Football. I mean, he was. I was watching a video because I wanted to get his opinion on DeAndre Hopkins, and he was talking about how there's no way in hell the Patriots are going to be able to sign him. And I was just like, God, Kirk is just commanding this. He's really good.
You're just looking for any DeAndre Hopkins
I know,
content
dude.
anywhere you can
It's
find
sick.
it.
It's sick. Well, this is the time of year in June where we're not there yet to training camp in July, and I just trying to get all the information I could get. There's Dalvin Cook news. I don't know. I'm sick, Steven. And you
You are.
and you realize that this is all me and John Curley going to talk about at his wedding. Like it's me just going to be going up like, oh, you look so good, John. Oh, congrats, Hannah. So let's talk about DeAndre Hopkins. What do you think here?
You know, actually, I'm giving. What do you think? To talk to the both of us, I'm giving him an over under total of 5 minutes in talking to us in that entire wedding.
That's going to be sad.
There's going to be a lot. There's a lot of people he's got
I
to
know
catch up
a
with.
lot of Curleys, and I would assume that John Curley's going to be inebriated for most of his wedding. But yeah, you're probably right. I would set the over under at 5.5 minutes for both of us.
I think what's the Irish is there like an Irish custom where they have to like take a shot of whiskey? You may kiss the bride, but you got to take a shot of whiskey first.
Yeah, that's probably the case. That's probably the case. And yeah, we'll be doing that this weekend. So I don't think we'll be doing a show. This will be the only one we do this week, and then we'll come back maybe on Monday or Tuesday. We got some Giants day games where I could pop on a little earlier because the Giants are going to St. Louis next week. So we'll be busy with John Curley's wedding. So yeah, and everybody, I mean, John Curley from his 95.7 The Game days still works there actually, and yeah, it's gonna be fun little time this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
All right then. Should we talk about some sports, Steven?
Yes, sure.
All right. Let's start off. I guess we'll call this segment headlines
Oh.
because this is just the big news that's happening at this moment with sports. Not a whole lot going on right now, but just things we could talk about. Of course,
Just your headlines, man?
Just your headlines, man. Actually, that's not bad. Ooh. All right.
We're
Improve.
there.
See? We're workshopping it.
Yep.
All right. Just your headlines, man. The Miami Heat tie up the NBA Finals. It's tied up 1-1. The Nuggets had a great game the first game. They dominated for most of that game and then kind of let the Heat ease back in. It was kind of reminiscent of their game one against the Lakers in that series. And I thought game two was kind of like their game two against the Lakers, where the Lakers were winning most of that game and then the Nuggets came back to win that. It didn't happen that way. Look at you prepared. Jesus, just your headlines, man. Did you just do that on the fly?
Yeah.
The ticker? Well done.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the Nuggets were going to come back in that game for game two, and the Heat just never let up. It's the first loss the Nuggets have suffered in these playoffs at home. Kind of thought that Mike Malone should have called a timeout there at the end once Jimmy Butler missed that shot.
Right.
I'm in the school of thought. I know there's many that believe just play, just go off. You'll catch the defense off guard by just playing. I disagree. When you're down by 3 and you need to tie the game with a 3, I would like a little strategy in place. I would like the coach to take the clipboard and say, this is what we need to do in this situation. But they decided just to play, and Jamal Murray misses the shot. It was a good look, but I thought they would have had a better chance had Mike Malone called timeout, and they would
Yeah.
have prepared that final play.
Yeah, and I could be wrong here, but the Nuggets, they normally do play like a half court style of offense where they can thrive in that way, but it feels like in this series and a lot of this postseason, they've kind of just been running teams up and down the court. And I don't think there was a timeout called in the final 4 minutes by either team of that game, so it was really quick. But I kind of get it. I kind of get it in that moment, and the debate about the debate about whether Jamal Murray should have taken that shot. Maybe Jokic needs to be the final one to take the shot, especially with the way that he was scoring in that game. But in the end, like, yeah, I don't know if calling a timeout would have made such a difference, because the Heat would have also had a chance to draw up a defensive play, which Spoelstra's really good at.
Yeah, but I felt like everything was kind of rushed and it was kind of panicky.
Yeah.
Not the end of the world. It was still at the end of the day. It was a good it was a good look, but Jamal Murray just missed it. And it's been a fun series so far. I know that I guess the ratings actually been pretty good, or they're just judging it by YouTube TV viewers. But so far, it's been a fun series, and people have been watching. And it'll be interesting to see what happens once the series goes to Miami.
Yeah, it's I mean, didn't it rate higher? Didn't game 2 rate higher than the Warriors Celtics game 2?
Did it really? That's surprising.
I think so.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah.
Where are you getting this information from?
Either that or they were right behind them. I think Front Office Sports is where I saw it. I don't know. We're overloaded with information. It could have been Ballsack Sports for all I know.
No, well, they're a reliable source these days.
Yeah, I could have gotten
love a good
sacked.
ball sack scoop.
Could have gotten sacked. Could have gotten teabagged by Ballsack Sports.
But yeah, the Heat played a lot better. They started Kevin Love, and yeah, we got Game 3 tomorrow, and it's just kind of nice to watch a NBA Finals with no horse in the race. Got it a few years ago with the Suns and the Bulls, but I want the Nuggets to win. I still think they're going to win. I'm not changing my tune. I think the Nuggets could steal a game in Miami. This game, or the series, may go a little longer than we thought. I picked it in 5, may go 6, may go 7 even. But the Miami Heat have been shown they're not going to lay down in the series.
No, to get a win on the road in Denver. I mean, think about it. The Timberwolves, Suns, Lakers, none of them able to get a win in Denver. And the Miami Heat were the first to do it. Like, why not the Heat? It's crazy how they just keep on proving everyone wrong. Like, after that first game, it's people calling it a blowout. People saying, "Oh, this thing's going to be done in 5." Like, I get kind of bothered by that, though. We always do this thing in sports where it's like we say something absolute, and then if we own up to it the next day, then like, oh, it's all forgiven. But no, like Jay Williams, that was the one that got me. It's like Jay Williams, apologized for saying that the Heat were going to get swept. It's like, well, then don't say it. Don't say it. Like, you were wrong. Who cares? Like, I don't know. The whole just admitting they were wrong and just give them a pass for it. It's like, can we stop just drawing conclusions from one game?
Yeah. Well, he said that after one. He said after game 1 that they were to get swept.
He said that after game 1, and then after game 2, he apologized to the Heat immediately. How about you stop making these? How about you stop making these? What's the word I'm thinking of? Damn it!
Hot
Whatever.
takes.
Proclamations.
Yeah.
Like just these absolutes, man. And it's like, okay, you apologized for it, but stop. You don't need to.
I mean, a lot of people were saying that this was a lopsided series in the sense that the Nuggets were so dominant for most of the regular season and the postseason, and the Heat just got hot when the playoffs started. And that's the case. But then again, the Heat took down the number 1 seeded Bucks, and they went into New York and beat them, and then they beat the Celtics. So nothing would surprise me at this point. This is probably the first time that we've seen an NBA team kind of get hot going into the playoffs. It's usually always the best teams that win the championship. And it's never been where a play-in team is going to win the championship or an 8th seed. Of course, they're the first 8th seed since the 99 Knicks, and that team lost in 5 to the Spurs. But we'll see what happens here. This is very interesting. I think the series is far from over. I still expect the Nuggets to win, though. I'm going to say in 6 now. I mean, I don't expect the Nuggets to win both games in Miami, but yeah, it's been an interesting series so far.
Did you see by the way. It's been a great series for sure. Um, do you see? You remember a little while ago I said Robert Griffin III kind of tries too hard sometimes on Twitter.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I think he's great. I think he's great on TV and everything. Seems like a good dude, but sometimes on Twitter tries a little too hard. And he
Yeah.
created a whole thread after game one about the Nuggets and which player is correlated to each sauce that you dip the Nuggets in.
And you're cool with that, or you think it's still trying too hard?
It's trying way too hard.
But
It's like he
that's
create
something that you and I would do.
yeah, but like at least we'd be funny about it and our stuff would make sense. He said like
He's taking himself too seriously with it.
yeah, it's like
It
but he's
seems a
not
little.
but he's not at the same time. Like I don't know, man. It's some of these things I think we've learned a little bit nowadays. Like some things are better saved in the drafts. I have a lot saved in the drafts now, which just haven't seen the light of day.
Yeah, it's just you gotten smarter as you gotten older.
Yeah, like that. Like saying here's what each player is with each dipping sauce. I think he called Jamal Murray the ranch, and it's like, what you don't dip nuggets in ranch.
But see, Steven, this is how he gets you because now you care about this shit.
I don't care.
Yes, you
I,
do because you're bringing
I,
it up on the podcast. I care less.
I guess so, but and now I'm
You
seeing
you care about this Robert Griffin tweet about sauce as much as I care about DeAndre Hopkins.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
You
And
don't.
it bothers me.
You don't want to admit that you care about it, but you do.
It bothers me.
Well, I would stop caring about Robert Griffin's tweets.
I can't help it.
I will admit when he does it, he seems like he's trying to like it's too like I'm trying to get clicks. I'm trying to be a TikTok guy.
Just trying to be with the times, man. Just trying to be with the times. Jamal Murray, the ranch. Nikola Jokic, barbecue sauce. Aaron Gordon, ketchup. Michael Porter Jr., Chick-fil-A sauce. Contavious
Yeah, see,
Caldwell Pope.
we're devoting way too much time to this stuff.
Sweet and sour, Bruce Brown, honey mustard. Don't agree. Anyway,
Where was DeAndre Jordan on that?
DeAndre Jordan?
Yeah,
Nowhere.
he plays for the Nuggets.
It wasn't on there.
People forget that. What about Reggie Jackson?
No Reggie Jackson. I guess they'd count as
he really didn't think about this.
No, I think he just used the players that have been actually playing.
You never know.
I
Things
mean, how
could change.
much?
Michael Malone, they lose one game. They got to start. I doubt DeAndre Jordan's going to see the court. I would start Reggie. I mean, I wouldn't start Reggie Jackson. I would play Reggie Jackson a little bit.
If they figure out a need to find him in an area, I guess.
It's a 3-point shooter. I'm surprised he hasn't played more.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's been a fun series, and we'll still be watching that. As far as other headlines, Nevada lawmakers will not move forward on a bill aimed at bringing the A's to Vegas using $380 million in public financing. That happened last night, and I'm not surprised. I think that we all expect the A's to move. I kind of what was it, like a month ago or 2 months ago where they announced the whole thing where they planned to buy some land in Vegas, and we all thought that was the end.
Yep.
And you were skeptical. I was somewhat skeptical, but I think just this is what's happening is they're going to try there as much as they can to go to Vegas. Maybe Vegas is not their final destination, but this all blowing up in their face is comical, and I enjoy every second of it. But there's no chance in hell that the A's are going to come back to Oakland. Everything's going to be just okay. It's going to be just dandy. Everyone's going to forgive them for all this shit. If the A's come back to Oakland and because they have no other options, I mean, if Vegas doesn't come through, I think they'll explore Portland or they'll explore Nashville. But if they have to come back to Oakland as a last resort, they better change ownership because I don't think there's any way that Oakland fans can forgive them for this shit.
Well, MLB owners still have to vote on relocation. So if they don't put that to a vote.
But Rob Manfred seems pretty intent on the A's leaving Oakland.
Well, yeah, but that's Rob Manfred. He works for the owners.
That's true.
Some of these owners could sit there going like, hey, John Fisher, privately finance your own stadium because, hey, or they could be in favor of it because if public financing does go through, then that kind of sets a precedent. Then other owners might be going for public financing from wherever they're trying to build. But I'm not going to believe it until there's a shovel in the dirt, until we see some funny picture of That's reminiscent of Kevin Durant in the construction hat and the uniform outside of Chase Center. You know what I mean? I'm not
No,
going to believe.
I remember it well.
I'm not going to believe any of it. I don't know when this. God, this is hard to say on the air. I don't know when this special session is going to take place. Because they have to call a second session because the regular legislative session is the one that ended last night. He called for a second one where basically he sets the agenda. The governor's going to try to convince them to get the stadium deal done, but it just does not seem like it's working out, man. And I don't know. I don't know what's next. I really don't know what's next. I don't know what's in the owners' heads. I don't know what they think of John Fisher and Dave Kaval and how they're handling this whole thing. But it seems like the state of Nevada, specifically Southern Nevada, does not want this happening. Like there's been everything going against the A's in this whole thing, in this whole situation.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do want to say that when the news was announced that they were planning on buying the land in Las Vegas, that it was also a report that MLB owners were going to waive the relocation fee for the A's.
Could be.
I could be wrong on that, but
yeah.
I mean, it goes back to what Fortenbaugh told us a year ago: is the Vegas does not want the A's. They're not a appealing product when the way that they handle things, and they may totally change. John Fisher may sell the team once they go to Vegas. I highly doubt that, but they may change their whole philosophy. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not going to believe anything until it actually happens. But then again, I don't think there's any way you could salvage this. Like, what would it take for A's fans or Oakland A's fans to welcome the A's back in the Coliseum or anywhere in Oakland? You would have to change ownership for them to really trust this group again.
That's what it comes down to. Changing ownership. And look, the Oakland mayor is they cease negotiation with the A's, but they cease negotiations with this ownership group. Mark Davis does not want this ownership group there.
Yeah.
I think it's real. I think it's a real possibility, man.
Real possibility that what? That they go back to Oakland?
I think it's a real possibility that they do sell the team.
Oh, well, that would be fantastic.
I think it is.
I don't think Joe Lacob's coming in to save the day, but that would be great. So Ernie tells me on the yep, you never know. Ernie on the chat says that is true only if they got the $38 million from public money. So sounds like that's off the table now. Sounds like everything's blowing up in their face. Oh, boo-hoo.
Yeah, it's like that. This whole thing is like Chevy Chase's Vegas vacation. You know what I mean? They're at the Hoover Dam. They're looking around. They're searching. Then they get caught right in the middle of it.
And
they
finally make it to Wally World, and it's closed.
And they have to try and climb up the Hoover Dam. I'm talking about Vegas vacation, Derek. That already happened.
Oh, listen. I remember the first vacation. Vegas vacation. It's been a while. I remember Papa Giorgio because everyone brings it up with my last name. I have not seen Vegas vacation in a long time.
I never thought of that. You're Derek Papa Giorgio. You're from Yuma, Arizona. It's like the best, worst movie that I like. Like the Vegas vacation.
That's not true.
Vegas vacation is objectively bad. It's terrible, but I love it. I can watch it all day.
You name any movie that's on a Saturday on a weekday or no, weekday on a Saturday on TBS. That's like your shit. Like it's like you're all about like Captain Ron or The Cabin Boy, just like obscure '90s comedies.
What? I've never not those ones. I'm telling you, Vegas Vacation is my jam.
Or the what's the one with Chevy Chase and the kid, the Taylor
Man of the House.
Yeah, see that's or like those aren't bad movies actually. I'm trying to think of worse movies like Big Fat Liar.
Big Fat Liar is awesome.
It's probably the best performance by an actor in a piece of crap.
It's not a piece of crap. It's a really good movie.
No, Paul Giamatti saves that movie, but the rest of it's
Frankie Muniz is awesome. Amanda Bynes is awesome.
You got Turks.
The blonde one, Monty, went to Chico State. Shout out to Chico State alum Monty in that movie.
Who's Monty again?
The blonde assistant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, who eventually sides with. Great film. Just a great motion picture.
I'm trying to think of other ones. Cool Runnings.
Don't you dare ever call that a bad movie. Right. What are you
I wouldn't
talking
say
about?
that's what I'm saying. It's not like great movies, but just we like them because they're part of our nostalgia of the '90s.
Yes, but Cool Runnings is an objectively good movie. Heartwarming, funny. Dougie Doug is great. Doesn't like ice because he's from Jamaica.
Just my favorite line in the whole movie is John Candy. I don't know why, it just makes me laugh every time. But him just screaming to those guys, "I didn't come all the way to get my butt kicked."
Why is that funny?
I don't know, just the way like I don't take him
That was like the only
seriously in that
serious.
moment.
That was like the most serious part of the movie, except for
No,
the
it's
ending.
not. The most serious part is when he's talking to the lead guy about his dad, how he could never be like he had an idea for a bobsled team and it never planned out.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Oh, I need to watch that again. I need to feel the rhythm and feel the rhyme. I haven't done that in a while.
So you're saying that those movies, so like I guess I haven't seen Vegas Vacation in a while. It probably is a piece of crap,
It's so bad.
and I apologize for putting other those classics in the same vein as that.
This is great. Just your headlines, man. Somehow we ventured off into 90s movies.
I know the whole goal was to make this shorter, and for whatever reason, this will be the longest podcast we ever do because we talked about Cool Runnings, a big fat liar. All right, last one here as far as the headlines. 49ers mandatory minicamps. Bunch of stuff came out today, from Debo Samuel to Nick Bosa to the timeline with Brock Purdy. Oh man. So the latest is that he's been throwing 3 times a week, and as Kyle Shanahan said today, I wish I could make something up for all you people, but I can't. There's nothing new. We expect him to be there for training camp, and that's the expectation. But nothing new, nothing, no new quote, nothing, no new report really. It's just the only thing that came out of that was he's been throwing 3 times a week, and that's good news. As far as everything else, Nick Bosa, he's there talks about a new contract extension. He seems very confident that that will happen. And when asked if he expects to be the highest paid defensive player of football, he said that he'll get what he's deserved. So all in all, there's like I get like a lot of people are running with the controversy, the QB controversy, who's going to win the job. There really is no debate. Everything we've heard this offseason from John Lynch to Kyle Shanahan is that Brock Purdy is going to be the starter if healthy. And most likely he will be. So really, this whole, there's a mystery with the quarterbacks, with the 49ers. Not really. This is not that appealing, to be completely honest. The biggest question mark of the offseason for the 49ers is who's going to be the backup? Is it going to be Trey Lance? Is it going to be Sam Darnold? It's just going to be a matter of, is the media going to flip out if the guy that went 3rd overall that the Niners traded a shit ton of draft picks for is 3rd on the depth chart? That's the biggest question mark. Is there's no more Brock Purdy versus Trey Lance. It's pretty much set in stone. Brock Purdy is the guy. It's just a matter of, is Trey Lance going to be good enough to be the backup?
Yeah, but Derek, the thing is, these guys who cover the 49ers year round doing podcasts and stuff about them, they need to manufacture something to actually gather conversation.
Not just
like
podcast hosts.
This is all they got, man. This is what they got right now. And I don't fully blame them, but I think this is all manufactured by them. And I'm not trying to crap on them or anything, because I think they all do.
Please do. Please crap.
I think a majority of them do really good work. Like I really do, but a lot of it is just manufactured, and some of it's from fans, but also it's kind of like it's everyone kind of feeding into that beast. And what you mentioned at the beginning, salty Shanahan talking about quarterbacks. I love it.
Well, he wasn't salty. What was salty about it?
I think it's just so funny when he's like, I don't have anything for you guys. I mean, he's just going to get asked day after day, every single time he's at the podium. He's like, I don't have anything. Well, we all know what the answer really is. We don't want to believe it, but we all know the answer. Even Trey Lance himself said that Purdy deserves to be the starter if he's healthy when he comes back. So it's not a matter of if, but when. And John Lynch kind of gave it away. I don't know if he maybe he ruined their idea of what they were going to do, how they were going to approach what they were talking about, but he kind of ruined it by saying, look, if he's back by training camp, he's earned the right to be the starter. I think he kind of jumped the gun on that a little bit.
I don't think he jumped the gun. I think he was just being truthful. Like there's really nothing.
He was, but I think he's jumping the gun as far as what they wanted to reveal. You know,
well, there's nothing really to reveal. Like Is it going to be like headline news if Matt Mayoko asks during training camp, so Brock Purdy's the starter, and Kyle goes, well, yeah, no
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in the sense that Matt Mayoko's asking a dumb question. He just, that question will be asked, and we will get the answer, and there'll be people being like, damn it, I thought Trey was going to be the guy. Come on, people. We're
Yeah.
sound like Rick Barry. Come on, people.
Mm-hmm.
This is crazy. The truth is,
Yeah.
Brock Purdy's going to be the guy. The question is he going to do enough to maintain the
Right.
job? Because
Right.
Brock Purdy will presumably have a full season under his belt, a full 17 games, knock on wood. You never know with injuries, and it's good to have two capable backups. But if Brock Purdy does go down, who's the next guy? Is it Sam Darnold? Is it Trey Lance? All indications are, George Kittle said this today too, Trey Lance looks significantly better than a year ago. And I believe him. Greg even said he went to minicamp the other day and said Trey looked phenomenal. So there could be a legitimate thing of whether or not, okay, Trey's actually coming to his own finally. But I don't think there's, if Brock Purdy's healthy, this isn't a QB competition. Brock is going to start.
Yeah. Agreed. And I mean, they probably are going to give him a full season, but you never know, man. The surgery could change him. He could just look totally different.
No, I mean that could happen. Anything could happen. Brock could throw 3 interceptions in the game against the Steelers week 1, and then they're like, "Well, shit, should we go to train now?" I'm, not ready to say that yet.
It's not like he was known for his arm strength when he
Yeah,
came in. He was a very accurate passer who could, break out of the pocket and kind of get the ball where he needed it, where he needed it to be. But things can change after surgery. Maybe that arm's just not as strong, and maybe the partial repair of the UCL, not the full on repair, not the Tommy John, maybe that hinders him and kind of increases the risk of it re-aggravating. So there's a lot of questions around what he will do, but I don't think it's a question of whether he will start. I think we're pretty much in agreement on that.
yeah, and I think it's gonna be interesting. In the preseason, if Brock plays, I doubt it, but I think it's gonna be. I think it's going to be interesting when we see preseason games of Trey looks good, Sam Darnold looks good. Who's going to win that backup competition? Um, that will be the fodder that everybody goes after as far as oh, Trey doesn't look good or Sam looks better than him, or we're really going to put Sam Darnold ahead of Trey Lance in the depth chart. Matt Mayoko also had this. He believes that the concrete date that Brock Purdy could be cleared is going to be August 20th or close to that date, which would be 20 days before the actual start of the regular season. So that could be the day that we circle back. And it sounds like then Brock Purdy wouldn't be healthy to start training camp, but that doesn't hinder his chance of being the starter for this football team.
No, I agree. And you mentioned Debo too, just real quick. Can I ask you, and maybe I'm wrong in thinking this, and I'll preface it by saying I want Brandon Ayuk to succeed because I think he's a really good wide receiver. But what's changed from from last year to this year as far as their offense, where all of a sudden he's going to become Mr. 2,000 yards receiving guy? Like just because he made a comment saying that he's about to take off, which I hope he does because I think he's a damn good wide receiver, and he's kind of breaking out of that shell from being like a humble guy to realizing like, yeah, I could talk the talk, and I think he can, but like what's changed within the offense to where he's going to become Mr. 1,800 yards? Like I don't see that. I see it being the same as it was last year, where it's like, all right, you don't go to McCaffrey, you don't go to Debo. Kittle's probably going to get a little less run. You're sacrificing a little bit of Kittle and what he can do as far as pass catching. Like if you're going to Ayuk more, I just don't get what's changed from last year to this year to where it's like, all right, he's going to be a totally different wide receiver.
Well, I wouldn't expect ridiculous numbers for receiver in any Kyle Shanahan offense unless you're Julio Jones.
Yeah.
But I would say that he's making people notice things in minicamp, and I don't really care about that shit yet. Like, even training camp. Like, I bring up everyone shows like videos of guys practicing. Like, let's not be fooled. Like last year, everyone was like, "Oh my God, you look at Matthew Stafford throwing to Allen Robinson." It was fake. He didn't practice that much. It was all
Right.
the social media team making it look good, and they did look good in practice, but it didn't matter. Matthew Stafford didn't practice that much in training camp. Like, let's not go crazy over what we see in training camp. I do believe we'll talk about this more when we play the Debo Samuel cut from today. But if you had to ask me right now, who do I expect to be a better receiver going forward? I would say Brandon Ayuk, and I would say that Debo Samuel may regress a little bit, just because that style that he plays in won't last very long, and that's the whole reason they signed him to the contract. And when they sign him to the contract, you kind of that's when the whole thing last year was Debo Samuel was like, oh, I don't want to play running back. I just want to be a wide receiver. And then he signed the contract. He's like, I'm happy to be whatever you want me to be. But now he doesn't need to be that guy because Christian McCaffrey is there. So I think we might see Debo Samuel become a little dispensable as time goes on.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that being the case. Or like Ernie's mentioning here, this is what Ayuk tweeted: 1,000-yard wide receiver is the fourth option. Like, it feels, to your point, it feels like either one of these guys, there's going to be something that happens if their next season maybe doesn't live up to whatever their expectation is. Because with Ayuk, it looks like he's expecting something much higher, much greater than a 1,000-yard receiver as the fourth option. Like Ernie's saying, is he expecting to be higher up on the pecking order? It sounds like he is, doesn't he?
I would I would honestly go with that right now because I think that he is next to Kittle probably the best option as a receiver on the team.
Yeah.
I like him as a pure receiver, but you're right. He's got to be more consistent. It's got to be where
Well, it's not even like a talent thing. I'm not even questioning like his talent, what he could do. I look, man, I'm gonna drop it, but watching him in training camp last year and seeing him up close, like seeing him make catches, high pointing the ball when he's double and triple teamed, like they just like literally throw it up and get it to him, and like I don't know. And see, here's the thing: Rocking Ayuk is the wide receiver one, okay, but what player is he? Because wide receiver, it seems like how Warriors kind of go with positionless basketball. They kind of started that. It's almost like it's positionless football in a way. It's like you got Christian McCaffrey. He's the running back, but he's just as effective as a wide receiver. Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like Debo Samuel, another hybrid guy. Like it's just Brandon Ayuk to me is like the only pure wide receiver. So in that case, yeah, he's like the de facto wide receiver one. But he's still, that doesn't make him like that doesn't even make him the first or second option. It just doesn't to me.
Well, let's transition into that audio with Debo as
Okay.
we always play sound on this podcast, but let's actually give this a title. We always call it pulling up. So now we'll call the segment the pull up game, where we refer to clips and play audio. So this is Debo Samuel today, and we all know what happened last year. He wanted the new contract. He showed up to training camp. He held in the training camp where he wasn't going to practice or officially practice with the team, but he was just on the sideline. And yeah, let's just play the clip.
All right, pull up.
When all was said and done last year, how would you assess your season last
Oh,
year?
it was awful. It was awful. Yeah.
In what way?
Every aspect.
Do you consider on that a little bit? Like you just said every aspect, but did that leave a bitter taste in your mouth?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Me and Kyle had a long meeting the other day. We watched tape. We talked about it. We put it behind us, and just going through the tape and just look how sluggish and like how bad it looked on tape. Like I said, just reflecting on last offseason, it kind of played a big role in that. And I never put nothing like that back on tape again.
Did you feel it as the season was going on, or was it not until you went back and watched it?
I was kind of behind the eight ball a little bit for us, being in my routine that I normally be in for the offseason, getting ready to play because, like I said, a lot of distractions was going on. But, yeah, I kind of felt it, but I was just, trying to will my way to help the team in every aspect possible.
Does it affect what your goals are for this season?
Oh, not at all.
Your reaction to that, Steven?
I mean, sure, but like I mean, that's his thing. From my vantage point, it was kind of what we're used to with Debo. Like, I don't know, he runs through people, uses his physicality, is just a violent player in general. Like, this dude's going to get physical with you. He's going to get up in your face. Like, yeah, I guess it was, but there's also other things on tape that we have seen, though, with Debo, where it seems like he was in the wrong place in some certain aspects, or maybe, he's just not been as good of a wide receiver as he thinks. Like, there's obviously times where he's dropped the football. I mean, isn't he up there in drops with the league? Like, I don't know. I think that's way more technical than what I'm prepared to actually notice, because like from my vantage point, I'm like, the season's about what I'd expect. The only thing is, like, put some moves in, instead of just running downhill all the time and just trying to run through people, put a little shake and bake on it.
And that's my thing of, I expect more from Brandon Ayuk going forward than Deebo Samuel. To his comment that he had an awful season, he didn't have an awful season, but his numbers were less significant than his 2021 season. But that was because so many running backs went down that he had to play more straight up running back. Like, since Deebo Samuel has joined the 49ers, he's always been kind of a Swiss Army knife, where he's been on the jet sweeps and stuff like that. But I never really thought of him as a pure wide receiver. And that's when we talked about it last year, when he wanted the contract and everything. I was like, I wouldn't pay him along the same lines as an AJ Brown or a Terry McLaurin or a who was in the contract discussions last year, DK Metcalf. Like, those guys to me are all better than him as far as a pure wide receiver. Now, and as far as versatility, as being a great runner / wide receiver, yes. But like I said, the Niners getting Christian McCaffrey, I know, like, it sounds good on paper with the lining things up, and you could put Deebo Samuel in the backfield next to Christian McCaffrey. But I think Christian McCaffrey is better as a receiver / running back than Deebo Samuel is. And furthermore, when he says I wasn't in shape and I got distracted by the contract and everything, I respect that he admits that. But also, that's an indictment on you, Deebo, because you wanted the contract. You held out. You had all the distractions. That's on you. And I'm not saying he's not owning that, but it's kind of a lame excuse for him to say he had an awful season then. And to be completely honest, that has been a thing with Deebo Samuel. That has been a critique about him for a while now, and maybe even the reason why he did not show up to training camp last year initially, or he showed up to training camp, but why he had the whole thing with the Niners last year is because people have said he doesn't show up in shape sometimes. So I think it was equal parts good on him to be completely honest about that stuff, but also detrimental in the sense of, well, he caused all that stuff. But maybe it's a learning lesson that will make him better going forward.
Yeah. And maybe he's just speaking statistically too, because those are just straight facts, homie. Like, I mean, he almost had as many yards taken away from that 2021 season than his whole rookie year. Like, I don't know. I'm telling you, like, this whole thing, it's not going to last forever. Like, it's not going to be like the Warriors dynasty where you're where you have the luxury of just having all pro type of talents. Like, having guys like McCaffrey, Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, Juszczyk, like everyone, Trent Williams, all these guys that you got to pay too. It's just not realistic to have it last. So, I mean, if it's not up this year, Brandon Ayuk, I know his contract's coming up too. Like, he's going to be expecting one. I mean, if this year, this could very well be like the last year that you see them with this core, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm not acting like they're going to, oh, geez, all of a sudden the Seahawks are going to jump them in the NFC West, or it's like they're going to become like the Cardinals. No, not at all. It's totally fine that this is probably going to be the last year, but it's just a reality.
But that also adds to their short window, though, because they might, Steven. Yeah. Like, this all happens. Like, everyone benefits from the quarterback not getting paid, and then everybody else wants to get paid, and then there's not enough to go around. Yeah. Like I said, they signed Deebo Samuel that contract, and they had an opportunity to trade him to the Jets last draft. I would not be the least bit surprised, not next season, but in time, they need to pay Brandon Ayuk and they got to pay Debo Samuel or Nick Bosa later this summer. I would not be the least bit surprised if there comes a day where they're like, let's trade Debo because
Yeah.
he doesn't fit anymore with the money, and Brandon Ayuk is a better wide receiver.
Yeah. No, I think it's something that we've kind of. I think it's something we know. I think people kind of know that. It's no secret that like at some point you're gonna have to be able to just. You're gonna have to let someone go. You can't have this luxury forever. I think we know that. I think we do. How long? I mean, do rookie contracts for 7th rounders? They're 4 years, correct?
For 7th rounders,
I mean, it's a
maybe
rookie. It's a
it
rookie
may
deal.
be
They just aren't.
5 years.
Really?
No, I'm not entirely sure. It's different as the rounds go on, but yeah, I'm not entirely
Okay.
sure. There's the 5th-year option stuff. There's 4-year options for players that get drafted later.
So Brock Purdy, right? He has a 4-year contract, and he's just a straight unrestricted free agent after that 4th year. There's no option that's given. Like, what if after this year, Purdy proves like he can be the guy? Then, like next year, you're going to have him on the cheap deal, but eventually he's going to want to get money too. He's going to want to get that guaranteed contract after 2025. It may not kick in until 2026, but he's going to want that guaranteed contract. Guys are going to want to get paid, just paid.
Yeah.
And Brandon Ayuk's the next one up there. Nick Bosa, obviously, like you mentioned, with the most expensive player, possibly $30 million a year. Like this is, it's going to be brutal.
We shall see. Moving on in the pull-up game.
Oh yeah.
Let's go to Steve Kerr.
Okay.
So Steve Kerr went on with Draymond Green's podcast, and Draymond Green has dropped, I think, 2 podcasts since the announcement of Bob Myers leaving the Warriors. It has not said a thing. So good on Draymond. Like, he's technically not attached to the Warriors right now. He's a free agent, or going to be by next month, and has not made any waves by bringing up Bob Myers or his future yet. And I thought that was going to be the case with Steve joining him on the podcast, and they did not talk about anything Warriors related. They talked about the Miami Heat and Denver Nuggets finals, and he asked Steve to come on to talk about Game 2. He had him on Sunday night to react to that game, and everything was basically about basketball, just that series and whatnot. And they related things back to their own team a little bit. Now, this is the soundbite that got the most traction because Steve Kerr is talking about the role players of the Heat and how they know their role. And everyone's kind of insinuating he's talking about Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kuminga here.
A huge 3 in the in the 4th quarter tonight, and it's like none of those guys on Miami are sitting there saying, "Well, I didn't play," or "Man, they put in so and so." Like they're just all about winning. And this from our groups that we've had. When you have that championship mentality, every guy's bought in. Every guy's just trying to win. Nobody cares about any of that stuff. You don't go into the locker room, saying, "Well, I should have played more." You just want to win, and that's the beauty of finding that magic when you have a championship team, is that everybody's bought in, and it makes the decisions for the coach really simple. You just go with your gut and go with whoever's playing well. A huge.
Do you think he's throwing shade at Poole and Kuminga?
Here's where I have a problem with everything surrounding the reaction to that podcast. One, like I remember seeing, I didn't listen to the podcast at first. I saw a lot of how people viewed it. They said, "Man, Kerr's so great at breaking down the game, and gosh, it's so nice to hear him talking about the game this way." The way that he was breaking down Game 2, that's how he breaks down Warriors games during the post game. I just don't think people watch it. People don't bother to watch his 20-minute press conferences. They just focus on the one video, that's posted by Warriors World, and then they just run with that. Like, it's always something about, why Kuminga's not starting, why Anthony Lamb's playing all these minutes, blah, blah, blah. But in the middle of that, you could find he actually does break the game down in that way after pretty much every Warrior game. People just don't seem to listen to that. It's just when they seem to just go deaf whenever he's talking about their own team. And number
Yeah.
two, him saying this type of thing, he said this after Warrior games too.
Exactly.
He said this exact that was gonna be. I knew we were gonna talk about this, so that was gonna be my point. And I wish I could bring up a video to you, and I wish I had like evidence, but I could tell you if you go back and you listen to some of these moments after the games, he says we need everybody to be bought in, and like this is nothing we haven't heard before. This is nothing new.
Yeah, having Steve on a weekly basis with Tolbert and Copes, I heard this stuff all the time.
Yeah,
He just speaks in generalities like that. I don't think he intentionally was trying to throw shade at Jordan Poole or Jonathan Kuminga there. Now you do see Draymond kind of smirk, but I don't think that's in relation to anything with the Warriors. Now, I thought all this, and then we played the audio for Tom Tolbert on the show, and Tom immediately says, I don't think there's any doubt he's talking about Jonathan Kuminga and Jordan Poole there.
Mm.
Now, I don't doubt that, but I also don't think that Steve in that moment was trying to send a message to those guys. I think that's just how he talks, because Steve was that guy. He was the guy on the Bulls that was the role player that needed to come in at a moment's notice to have the game-winning shot in 1997 to beat the Jazz. It's just what he's used to. So I'm not going to read too much into this. I don't think it has any indication of what the Warriors feel about Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kuminga. They got to figure out who the GM's going to be, and I've seen all the tea leaves out there and all the reports. Old buddy Matt Steinmetz believes that it's Mike Dunleavy's job to turn down if the money's right. They got to figure out that shit. They got to figure out Draymond. Let's wait to see if Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kuminga are going to be traded. But Stephen, I'm with you. I don't think that anything he said there is any indication that that's what they plan on doing going forward.
We read way too much into it. Like, it's just maybe it is calculated, but these guys aren't, LeBron, where they try to say everything just with a mixed message between it. I genuinely think they were just trying to break down the game, and Kerr was just describing what he sees. And then I think his reaction, if he heard what the fallout from it, I think he'd probably say, you could draw whatever conclusions you want. I was just breaking down the game.
Exactly.
So I think there's some validity to it, but even so, like, sure, he may have indirectly been calling out Poole and Kuminga, but back to the earlier point, he did that this season. He did that this season.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is nothing new. Like, this is nothing new.
And I think how he's answered all season. If you ask Steve Kerr tomorrow about Jonathan Kuminga and Jordan Poole, he'd say, I think they're great players. I think that they, need to learn their role a little bit. And he'd be completely honest, but I don't think he would say like those guys need to shut up and start just accepting their roles on the team. Like, Steve's not the type of guy that's going to send messages to players that they need to act right through the media. Now, I will say, I think it's a big deal that he showed up to Draymond Green's podcast, because that shows with Steve, with Draymond's future, that Steve is willing to take that time to do that. And Steve went on record, when the season ended, that they're not a championship team without Draymond. I think that things have flipped. I think that if you ask people in the organization, they're more in favor of Draymond being on the team as opposed to Jordan Poole. They've gotten past the punch. It's all about basketball now, and I think that they would love for Draymond to come back. Don't know if Bob Myers leaving is going to be the deciding factor for Draymond, but I do not believe that Steve Kerr was trying to throw any shade or any message at Jonathan Kuminga or Jordan Poole in that interview.
Yeah, and he could have. Had he critiqued the Nuggets, he could have said, well, you need someone else to actually make some buckets besides the superstar. Then everyone thought it would have been a direct shot at Clay. like you could go any way with that.
Well, speaking of that, Steve, I'll save it. Let's play that Eric Spoelstra clip now. Because I did. Well, hold on. I'll explain. there's a reason why I'll go back to Steve Kerr, because I did listen to the podcast, and this was too much. Ramona Shelburne asking Eric Spoelstra about the way the Heat guarded Jokic in Game 2.
Final question on the left.
Hey, Coach. Ramona Shelburne, ESPN. This is probably oversimplifying things, but sometimes when teams play against Jokic, you turn him into a scorer, you turn him into a passer, and he controls the game. He only had 4 assists tonight.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. It's just that's the untrained eye that says something like that. This guy's an incredible player. Twice in 2 seasons, he's been the best player on this planet. You can't just say, oh, make him a scorer. That's not how they play. They have so many different actions that just get you compromised. We have to focus on what we do. We try to do things the hard way, and he requires you to do many things the hard way. He has our full respect.
Okay. If Greg Popovich said that, how would we all react?
I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
No. Think about it for a second.
Greg Popovich being Greg Popovich?
Exactly. Because it's Eric Spoelstra, it's just so out of character for him to snap like that. Like, kind of like, oh, that's ridiculous. It's the untrained eye. Like, I like Eric Spoelstra. I don't think I've heard him talk down to anybody like that ever before, so I'm not going to totally condemn him for this. I will say, it was rude. And Ramona Shelburne has been covering basketball for a long, long time. And she's well respected. She knows her shit when it comes to basketball. And I know he wasn't doing this intentionally, but when you tell a woman covering a sport that's the untrained eye, it sounds a little derogatory.
Yeah, it sounds it's bad. It's bad optics for sure. But can we just take a moment to just laugh at this real quick? Because look at this picture right here.
Yeah. He was ready to go.
He was so ready to go. They got wait till you hear they got a final question. And look at his face. It's like when you're in a meeting and you think it's gonna be done after the last point is made, and then they move on to the next topic. Like, look at his
Final
face.
question on the left.
Hey, Coach.
He's just like you could hear his ring.
I want to
banging
get the
against
hell out of
table.
Denver and go back to Miami.
He has so much excitement to be leaving that presser, and then he gets asked one more question. Listen to that ring bump on the table.
Final question on the left.
Oh. That man wanted to get out of there so bad.
He
But
did.
no, it's a terrible look, because if it wasn't the final question, then I think the natural follow-up would have been, okay, well, what's the point of all that zone defense then?
Yes.
What is that? What are you trying to do with that?
And to my point with Steve Kerr, Steve made this point with Draymond. He said that the Heat turned Jokic into more of a scorer than a facilitator with all the assists.
Yeah.
And that's what Jokic is great at.
Yeah.
Everyone says he's the best passing big of all time. He is more effective when he passes the ball to others as opposed to him scoring 41 points. We saw a game earlier this year. What, he scored 53 against the Suns, and they lost.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that's a correlation all the time, but
they're winless. Well, they're winless when he scores 40 or more, like in the games that he does. But I think
that's a pretty good stat.
There is something to that.
Yeah, so I think it was half Eric Spoelstra just wanting to get out of there, and also him not wanting to downplay how great of a player Jokic is, and him also being like, "Don't give away our shit, Ramona." Jesus.
Yeah, I personally, I'm gonna err on the side of it was 90%. He wanted to get out of there.
Yeah.
90%. Look at him.
Final question on the left.
He's looking to the side. He's looking. He's ready.
He wanted to go.
He's like, I see this. I see those stairs look so inviting. I'm ready to get out of here. The scowl.
Final question on the left.
Hey, Coach.
Oh my god.
This thin air is too much. I want to go to some sunshine. I want to get on the beach. I want to get the fuck out of Denver.
God, I just want a glass of whiskey. Or something, just anything. I want to have a nightcap. Instead, I got to answer this damn question. And I think that's where it was coming from. I think it was a lot of emotion. You know, we all do that. I
got a long flight ahead of me, guys. I got to hear Jimmy Butler dance in the aisles, the Hootie and the Blowfish. Let's just get out of here.
How many times have we, I don't know about you, but I've certainly done this where I maybe receive some sort of message or an email that I didn't like, something that, kind of made my blood boil a little bit. And, it took me a little while to understand this, but it's like, take the emotion out of it. Remember, like, you put emotion into it, you may say things that you'll regret. And I've done that before, right? Where it's like you send an email and you're like, damn, that was worded in a way that probably shouldn't have been, and it might be taken in a way that I didn't mean. I can see where Spoelstra's coming from with that, but the fact that it was Ramona Shelburne and, woman asking a question and then saying to the untrained eye, it's just, it was not a good look. But I think I can I don't even know the difference between these two, empathize or sympathize, whichever one, when I can relate.
Well, Steven, your
one of
question,
one of the athizes.
yeah, Steven, it probably sympathize. Steven, when you're asking the question of have you ever reacted in anger to anything before, who do you think you're talking to?
Yeah, I know. It's more of a rhetorical.
How many emails did I respond to back in 95.7 when I was like, I probably shouldn't have sent that. That was a little angry.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, little Christmas party email that I sent back in the day that I probably regret.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Oh my god.
They're not going to throw us a Christmas party. Well, this is bullshit. We should throw our own. I didn't say this is bullshit. I just said we should throw our own, and then that was misconstrued. Yeah, I don't think Eric Spoelstra's a bad guy. I just think that he responded not in the best light, especially to Ramona Shelburne, who we all love. But if Greg Popovich responded that way, I think we all would have laughed at him like, that's classic Pop. Now, the part that gets me is the untrained eye thing. It's like, that's not in the same vein as Cam Newton being like, it's interesting for a female to talk about slant routes, but it's kind of like not. I don't think he was trying to respond that way, talking down to her. I think it was just him just being frustrated.
Emotion.
Let's play Tom Brady with Rich Eisen. So, and it's about a minute 15. So Tom Brady made the rounds. He's promoting his commercial with Hertz. By the way, is Tom Brady the first athlete to get a Hertz commercial since OJ?
It's a super question. I don't know.
I'm probably wrong, but when I think of athletes promoting Hertz, I think of OJ Simpson running through an airport, and then I think of Tom Brady. Anyway, so he made the rounds, and he made it clear he's not coming back to play football. He's excited about his new career in broadcasting when he goes to Fox in a year. He's not going to play for the Raiders. He's not going to do anything like that. But then Rich asks him about becoming a minority owner of the Raiders, and this is his response.
Is that the Raiders news that we're seeing, that you might, become a piece of ownership out there in Vegas, Tom?
Yeah, that's obviously very exciting for me, and I think we're just a little bit in the middle of that process right now, but obviously something that would be a dream come true, and to be the third player in the history of the league to have, an ownership interest in a team would be amazing. And I feel like, if we can continue to kind of progress with this and it gets all the approvals and so forth, it would be something that would really be pretty cool from a kid from just San Mateo, California, that grew up on Portola Drive and was throwing out cuts at fire hydrants, and then, to be a part of the NFL in that type of way and to really be a steward of the game. And I think if there's something that I really feel strongly about is position is, let's say, it is more of an ownership role, but it just allows me to have an impact in the game. And I'm going to do that in broadcasting as well. But I love the sport. I think it brings out the best in all of us. I think that competition, I think that teamwork, camaraderie, determination, discipline, perseverance, overcoming adversity, all these different things have shaped me and
Okay. Yep.
When he's going with the whole, this is a dream come true for a kid from San Mateo playing on, Portola Drive or whatever. Is he trying to make it seem like he's just a regular Bay Area kid that grew up watching the Niners and the Raiders, and that's why he feels some attachment to this team?
Yeah.
Stop it.
What?
Tom Brady has never been associated with the Raiders in any aspect of any biography or anything of being a Raider kid. It's always him. Well, I was 1 year old when I went to the Candlestick to watch the drive or the catch with Joe Montana. You know, my dad put me in Niners stuff. He was a Niner fan. Don't change the narrative now, Tom. You never were a Raider kid. You want to be one now. Stop it.
You grew up in Texas and you love Oakland.
Dude, we talk about my dad was the voice of the team.
Just saying.
I didn't grow up in Texas. I was born here.
When did you live in Texas again?
I lived in Texas for most of my formidable years. But
there you go.
Well, hold on. So you think you no, this is on a question. So you relate me more to being a Texas kid as opposed to a Bay Area kid?
No, but I'm just trying to be a devil's advocate here for you for calling
trying
out.
To be an ass is what you're trying to be.
For calling out Tom Brady and just saying, you know, just a kid from San Mateo, where it's like you grew up in Texas, man.
I know, but he's playing the San Mateo card as if like
I know.
I grew up being a Raider guy.
I know. It's not the same as
how does Ernie know I'm from Sugar Land, Texas? Good Lord.
It's not
you guys know way too much about me.
Well, because Ernie's from Texas, I think. So he has has a connection there. Yeah, he moved here. He moved here in like what, 2011, 2012?
Oh, never mind then.
But no, I think that yeah, he's definitely trying to pander to the fan base in the Bay Area for sure. I think there's something to that, but
yeah, I mean, you ask. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's I don't know. I'm not too bothered by it.
I just thought it was kind of like, yeah, you know, just a kid from San Mateo, just living out my dreams. I remember going to the Coliseum as a kid. Tom,
right? He didn't say that though.
No, I know, but I know what he's insinuating. And you could ask Tom Senior, who still lives in the Bay Area. They were a Niner family. He was a Niner kid. He wants to play for the Niners, or he did, and he wanted to play for the Raiders too. But yeah, don't stop, Tom. I'm not buying that for a second. Now, here's the thing: once this becomes official, and Tom Brady is a minority owner for the Raiders, they're going to have a press conference. And I'm sure Paul Gutierrez or somebody is going to ask, Tom, your thoughts on the Tuck rule. And you got to win over the fan base. So is that the moment? And he's always kind of joked around about it with Charles Woodson. Like, what was that thing last year where he was like, might have been a fumble. Is it time for Tom Brady to get on the Raiders fan side if he's going to be associated with this team and admit that he fumbled?
I think he will. I think it's going to be huge news. I think it's good. Yes, of course. Yes. It's the only way to ingratiate yourself into the fan base.
But would that be just like a, he's selling out just to appeal to the fans type of thing?
Well, okay. Well, also, to me, like McDaniels, this dude was the head coach of the Broncos and an offensive coordinator with the Patriots. Think he has any affinity for the Raiders organization? No.
He's just looking to be an owner.
He was just looking to be a head coach. Like, that's it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. McDaniels. Yeah.
Yeah. Like he didn't have any, I bet you he hated the Raiders, you know, especially being from Denver and being a Denver guy and then going on to the Patriots. Like you can't have, he can't have been, the Raiders wouldn't have been his first choice to be the head coach. Just like the Raiders are probably not Tom Brady's first choice of being an owner, but he finds an opportunity. Mark Davis clearly loves him. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not too bothered by it. Tom Brady is just like, Tom Brady's Tom Brady. I don't know. You see, just went into full on cliche mode. That's kind of why I'm not excited for him to be a broadcaster. I hope that he brings up, you know, a different side of the game, but he can really, you know, he can get I think after his years in the NFL, he's kind of desensitized to quarterback speak, which can get just, you know, repetitive.
Well, he's not going to be he's not going to call anybody out. Like, people are expecting him to be, I don't know, like Richard Jefferson, where he says on a broadcast, that guy sucks. That's not going to happen. Tom Brady is going to be objective and call the game as he sees it, X's and O's style.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was funny. I just thought it was funny that when it came to him talking about I bought a stake in the Raiders. He goes, just a kid from San Mateo. Stop, Tom. You never were a Raider kid. Just stop.
I could, I can make a case that competition doesn't bring out the best in people. As a matter of fact, I can make the case that it brings out the worst in some people. Haven't people mistaken Tom Brady's competitive side for being a total crybaby in certain games?
Well, you could say that about Michael Jordan or Derek Jeter or any of these greats, but that's coming from a guy that, paused his athletic career to eat more Taco Bell. So.
Right. Yeah. Coming from a guy who, in his most recent competition, broke his shoulder in the first play.
I think if you ask all three of those men, they would tell you that they have a competition problem. But that's what made him so great.
Yeah. I just don't know if it brings out the best in people, really. Like,
I don't think it. You mean that's a whole debate we could have for another day.
Oh yeah.
Where does competition with is it mentally great for people? I don't know, but it's great for our fans. But it's great for the fans to watch and enjoy, and not have to live with those hardships every day.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to hear the family's reaction to that.
Exactly, like
takes the best out of us, but
exactly like Buccaneers fans last year, like Tom Brady's back, fantastic. Could give a shit about Giselle and the kids.
Yeah,
it's the truth.
Yeah, his family life is kind of in the shitter, but you know what? Actually, his family life's fine. I just recently saw videos of Brady at Disneyland. Like the best time. Yeah. So I take back that comment. It's just the marriage that kind of went down the drain. Yeah, the marriage that went down the drain.
Yeah, that's a debate in itself. All right, Steven, let's do a new segment where there's a lot of things I want to talk to you about, but I feel like we can condense it a little shorter. And I say this, we already got an hour and 11 minutes, so let's just do this damn thing. And a new segment that I call Choices, kind of like E40 song. Yep. Nope. I don't want you to respond with a yep or a nope. I want you to give a full answer, but I'll give you a little yes or no, or not yes or no, but this or that kind of thing, and you tell me which one you go with. Okay. Cool. All right, here we go. Which NFL player will be on a new team sooner? DeAndre Hopkins or Dalvin Cook?
Does it matter?
Yes. That's why I'm asking.
Why? Who cares? I think the point is both of them are going to be on a new team. Who's going to be there quicker? Probably DeAndre, but I don't know. They're both going to be with it because his name is being talked about more, and the Vikings still have yet to release Cook, whereas DeAndre Hopkins is a free agent, and someone's going to be signing him soon. So yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go the other way.
Yeah. Oh. Ooh.
I'm gonna say Dalvin Cook because DeAndre Hopkins. Everything that and this is just my excuse to talk about DeAndre Hopkins because I've invested way too much time in investigating this thing. DeAndre Hopkins is expecting way too much money for a guy that no one wanted to trade for with $19 million on the book this year. He's expecting in the same vein as Odell Beckham or any of that. He's not getting it. So he talks about he wants to play for all these contenders, but none of these teams have that kind of money. So every team that's been asked, are you interested in DeAndre Hopkins, whether it's the Cowboys or the Jets or whoever, Chargers, they've all said we like our wide receiver room because they all know that we would love to add DeAndre Hopkins, but what he's asking for is ridiculous. Now, I did listen to Brandon Beane the other day on Pat McAfee, and he was like, I'm not going to rule anything out. But right now, DeAndre Hopkins wants a pretty good contract, and we can't offer that right now. So I think that there's teams that are interested in him, like the Buffalo Bills. I think they would be willing to give him an $8 to $10 million contract, but he's expecting 20. It's kind of like the other day, like they got Leonard Floyd, which is a big pickup for them to add to their defensive line. They got a lot of pass rush now, but they see that more as a need than DeAndre Hopkins, which would make their team that much better, but they're not going to be willing to pay him $20 million a year. As far as Dalvin Cook, it's post June 1st, and the whole rumor with him is that he's going to get cut because the Vikings don't want to pay him his salary this season, and they kind of need to shed some salary themselves because they're one of the lowest salary cap teams right now. And it was supposed to happen, I guess, last weekend, but now they're kind of mulling it over to see, can they get a trade? Should we hang on to Dalvin Cook? There's not many many great teams in the NFC. Will we stay a competitive team if we have Dalvin Cook? I do think he's going to get released. There's been this whole talk about the Miami Dolphins with him, and they already have Jeff Wilson Jr. and Raheem Mostert, and they also drafted a kid. So the expectation is, I guess they were close in March to a trade happening, but it didn't happen. And the expectation is, as soon as Dalvin Cook gets released, the Miami Dolphins are going to go get him. But now there's talk about the Jets being interested and the Cowboys being interested, the Broncos. So I think that Dalvin Cook will get signed quicker because he's a younger player than DeAndre Hopkins, and also he's not going to garner as much salary cap as DeAndre Hopkins is asking for.
My only thing is, what else are they going to do at running back? The Vikings, like I know
Alexander
they want to
Madison.
him. That's just it. That's not good enough. That's not good enough if you want to compete.
I don't know if
he's a backup. He's a backup. Like I think it'd be a mistake to really release him. I do.
That's probably what they're mulling over right now. But they
Yeah.
did give Alexander Madison a raise this offseason. So I
Ugh.
do think they expect him to be the starter.
Mm.
I think it's a matter of days before Dalvin Cook gets released. But they could change their mind. But then again, why would you pay for two running backs to have, was it $8 million? I think Alexander Madison's making $8 million now, and Dalvin Cook's going to make 10. I don't know if the Vikings do think they're going to be competitive this season. That's why they traded away Zadarius Smith. They're contemplating whether or not Kirk Cousins is their guy. There's the Trey Lance rumors. I don't know if they're going to be competitive. All right, speaking of Trey Lance, who's more likely to start week 1? Jimmy Garoppolo for the Raiders or Trey Lance for the 49ers?
Garoppolo for the Raiders.
I would agree because, as we said earlier, Brock Purdy is going to be the starter for the Niners if everything goes according to plan. There's still people that believe that Trey Lance could beat Brock Purdy out, but that's not going to happen. As far as Jimmy Garoppolo, we got more encouraging news from Ian Rappaport today, where he believes that the timeline is set up for Jimmy to be healthy by training camp. And, everything with timelines and off-season stuff, everybody expects Jimmy Garoppolo to be ready by training camp. Everybody expects Brock Purdy to be ready by mid-training camp. So we shall see. I do feel better about Jimmy as I did a week ago when all this shit came out, is because his foot was broken and he needed surgery. I think everyone's kind of freaking out a little bit too much because of Mike Florio's report. I fully expect Jimmy Garoppolo to be healthy and ready by week 1.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think there's any question about it. Yeah, this whole thing is it's way overblown because it's early in the season, or because we're early in the off season. I don't think there's any debate about it.
I'm with you. What's more likely, Steven? LeBron James joins Kyrie Irving in Dallas, or Kyrie Irving joins LeBron James in LA?
Oh God. Kyrie joining LeBron in LA. I haven't entertained any of this. I haven't looked into it. I don't care about it.
Fair enough, because I saw that today where Shams tweeted out that Kyrie's trying to recruit LeBron to come to Dallas. No, that's not happening. He's not going to go force his way to get traded. He's staying with the Lakers.
Yeah.
I don't know if Kyrie's going to LA because listen, Kyrie pissed off a lot of people with what he did. And if Kyrie's on the school of thought that Kanye is, then I'll just say that fan base in LA would not be receptive to Kyrie Irving coming to the Lakers.
Yeah, I don't know.
Big Jewish community in LA.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I don't know. You asked me to either or. I don't think anything's going to happen with them.
Yeah, that's kind of I actually didn't care about that question. All right, more fun stuff then. What was more of a shocking move? Ooh. The PGA merging with LIV, or the movie Oppenheimer getting an R rating? It's going to be 3 hours long. You know about this movie? The movie about the atomic bomb being made?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So what was more shocking? LIV merging with the PGA, or Oppenheimer, this new Christopher Nolan movie that's going to be R-rated, going to be 3 hours long, and it's going to be coming out the same weekend as Barbie, the Barbie movie, and they expect this movie to do financially just as well.
You serious with this question?
Damn right I am. Trying to have more fun.
Whoa. Hang on. Whoa. Hang on. Sorry, for some reason the Siri on my Mac just went off, and he's like, "Yes, I'm not allowed to be frivolous." I don't know why they said that. That was weird. That would just happen in my ear. Yeah, way more surprised by PGA Tour and Live. Way more surprised by that. I mean, sure, the Oppenheimer rated R. Like, are these two comparable?
I'll give you my thing once you finish your point.
The PGA Tour and Live, far more shocking. A movie being rated R. Whoa, all right. Wow, that's rated R. Christopher Nolan. Interesting.
All right.
But PGA Tour and Live Golf merging when they're in the midst of a legal battle. Well, we're in the midst of a legal battle, and the PGA Tour has just constantly been denouncing this thing, like up until the PGA Championship when everyone just randomly kept quiet, and we know now why. Way more shocking.
I wasn't incredibly shocked when I saw that news today because money talks, man. Like, I understand everyone said their things a year ago. They've been fighting for a while. I guess Greg Norman's going to walk away from the PGA because of this news.
Okay,
Who's the guy-
hang on. They didn't just say this a year ago. If you've been keeping up with golf, they've been saying this up until like 3 weeks ago. Like, it's recent where these guys are just talking nonstop about Live Golf and how it's bad for the game and the players, blah, 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 blah. Like, what? I mean, I know money talks and I get it. And maybe this was eventually going to happen, but within a year, not even the little bit surprised that like they've caved this quickly. Not even a little bit shocking to you?
No, I mean, when I saw this morning, I was like, whoa, that's something. That is surprising. But then again, this is the world of capitalism. So no, I'm not that surprised. Now, when you look back on some things,
sorry, I'm not Joe Rogan. Jeez,
what?
Just like follow the money, like always follow the money. It's not surprising if you think about it. Yes, it is. Shut up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I doing a whole Joe Rogan take here? No, what I'm saying, I'm just not that surprised because that's what businessmen do. But I mean, like, yeah, it goes against everything that they said the last couple of weeks or the last year. Like, who's the guy that runs the PGA?
Jay Monahan.
Yes, we played the clip today. We had a great interview today with Dan Wetzel, who writes for Yahoo Sports.
Wetzel's Pretzels.
Yes, and he runs that business as well. Great in the malls. He trashed everything about this merger and how unethical it is and how terrible it is. And who's the guy you just said? Jay Moynihan? Bobby Moynihan? Monahan.
Not drunk uncle.
We played the clip of Jim Nantz talking about Live to him, and they were talking about what do you say to people that have lost, families in 9/11 and everything. And he was like, I can't, can you ask anybody on the PGA if they feel, uneasy about joining the PGA as opposed to Live? And then they'll go back on their words, a year later. I'm not surprised. It's sleazy. It's slimy. It's everything that is wrong with our society, but that's what it is. As far as Oppenheimer, the movie that's coming out later this or next month, actually, it just seems it's shocking to me in the sense that that movie's coming out the same day as the Barbie movie. And we, like Christopher Nolan is all about his movies doing financially well. And for it to be a 3-hour-long movie, it to be rated R, you're not going to get a lot of people interested in this in the first place because I'm interested to go see it. But it's also a movie about the invention of the atomic bomb. It's going to be a slow burn. And I feel like more audiences are going to run to go see the Barbie movie because it's more appealing to a mainstream audience. So I was more shocked by that. Does that make sense?
No, but not to me. Like, I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. It can, if that's how you were feeling. But I haven't thought about that too deeply. I will go watch both. I think I love Christopher Nolan. I think the Barbie movie is going to be fantastic. And I don't know if you could take more kids to see Barbie. It looks like it's going to be a little more out of kids' range, to be honest. Ernie's 1 and 2.
You could go see that movie with kids.
Really? All right.
Hey, are they stopping kids at the door for Batman or The Flash? No.
No, but I just don't think kids are going to enjoy it as much as they think. It seems like it's more of like an adult Barbie type of movie.
Of course, but it looks glitzy, and kids will go see it. The reason I bring this up is because last weekend I was hanging out with my friends in LA, and they always talk about movie shit. And one of my friends was like, "I think Oppenheimer is going to actually do better than Barbie." I was like, "You're out of your mind," because just the fact that those movies are coming out the same weekend, I feel like Barbie's going to crush Oppenheimer.
Probably, but
But
yeah, I haven't really
thought about it.
I haven't thought about that too much. I got to see Across the Spider-Verse though. I think one of them brought it up in the chat. Ernie one did. Yeah, Across the Spider-Verse. Got to see that in theater. Missed the first one in theater. Didn't see that until a little later on. That's a big regret of mine. So I need to go watch that.
All right, which 30 for 30 are you more interested in watching? The one on American Gladiators or the one on Bill Walton?
Bill Walton.
Quick answer. Why?
Easy. Because American Gladiators doesn't interest me. It's an overrated show. We talked about it earlier. The whole 90s nostalgic thing. We looked back on that. I mean, go back and watch an episode of American Gladiators. I did when the new ones came out, and I watched an old one. They weren't that great. But I think that's a nostalgic thing. I don't have much interest in it. Although I do think it could make for a good 30 for 30. That's kind of just poo-pooing on it. I don't want to do that. But I do think Bill Walton's 30 for 30 would be fascinating because I do not understand the psyche of Bill Walton. So
what's it again, man? The guy loves Grateful Dead. And basketball.
Yeah, I'd love to hear his upbringing and just about all of that.
So I watched the American Gladiators 30 for 30 last week, and Tom was all about it. He was a huge American Gladiators fan when it came out in the 90s. I know about, it's been referenced before. Like, I never actually seen it, but there's that famous quote from Tommy Boy where it's like, "You guys want to watch this or Gladiators?" And they're like, "Gladiators." Then there was the reboot in 2008 that was terrible. Everybody trashed it. The documentary is absolutely fascinating. It is much more than just the story of how American Gladiators captivated America, for better or for worse. There's a whole other angle with the guy that created it, Jerry Ferraro, stealing money or stealing the idea from the guy that actually created it from Erie, Pennsylvania. His name was Apache Dan Kerr. Big fucking dude. And no one could get a hold of him. His whole life's a mystery. It's a fascinating documentary. I highly recommend it. Even if you're not an American Gladiators fan, it's just fascinating to watch. Just the documentary about how the show was made and all the controversy around it. At the same time, I love myself some Bill Walton. The guy's incredible. He's insane. He is also incredibly intelligent, loves the game of basketball, loves himself some Grateful Dead. And yes, Ernie's brought it up. We had just the pleasure of having Bill Walton on today on KMBR. And we taped the interview with him, and it was 45 minutes. We broke it up into 2 parts. The man did not stop talking for a solid 20 minutes. It was Tom going, "All right, we got Bill Walton. Tom, it's great to be here. I'm staring at the beautiful land outside my house. The sun is shining down, and I'm here to talk about Nikola Jokic and everything going on." It was incredible. The man could talk about anything and everything. We talked to him about John Morant and what he would say to him. It was fascinating. I'm blown away by just how in-depth Bill Walton talks about everything and everything all at once. And I am really looking forward to his documentary because it's 4 parts, and I'm sure it's as in-depth and crazy and creative as he is.
I thought Arvydas Sabonis was going to be the only 7-foot best big man passer from Eastern Europe that we've ever seen.
He was dropping so much just ridiculous stuff today where he was like, Do you know how many, like he's talking about the Heat and Nuggets? He goes, how many guys do you think are named Bam?
Bam Adebayo. It sounds like something out of a history lesson from the 1960s. I don't know.
When you're watching them, and you're kind of like the Beach Boys. Help me, Rhonda. Just saying ridiculous things, and then he was like, Tom was trying to compare Nikola Jokic to the way Bill Walton played. He goes, please, I don't want to talk about myself, but think of center as not a position, but a concept. He's amazing.
They were hybridizing as one. And they were pet sounds on an NBA court.
And then, of course, he dropped as soon as we were leaving, he goes, Tom's ready to talk to you July 14th. The Dead and Company's coming out to Oracle Park. It's just like doing an advertisement for his favorite bands. God.
These are the best.
Which series finale was better? Secession or Ted Lasso?
I'd say Successions. I'd say Successions because Ted Lasso's happened really quick. It's just like it all kind of wrapped up in one episode, which I liked. It kept you engaged, and there's a lot of callbacks to some of the stuff in the first season. I thought Succession finale was great. They kind of didn't have that. They kind of didn't really have like the factor of, and this is kind of what Breaking Bad did too, where they didn't do anything shocking. They didn't do anything that left you questioning much. I mean, sure, they left some stuff up for interpretation. But I thought it was I thought both were great, but I think Succession was better.
Can't speak to Succession because I haven't seen the show yet. But as far as the Ted Lasso ending, I go back and forth with the show. I think that it came out at a time where everybody needed it. Everybody needed a good pick-me-up. Everybody needed a good smile on their face during COVID. And it was a very uplifting show. And then second season, I was like, okay, this is getting kind of cheesy, and they live in this world where there's no drama, and the whole thing about the affair with the owner of the team with the player, I was like, there's no way that would happen, and no one would know about that, and that would become a bigger story.
Right.
And then watching the show, the finale and everything, like I still watch it. I still keep up with it. It just kind of clicked in my head. It was just like, this is just how the world is supposed to be, and how we're supposed to be nice to each other, and how we're supposed to uplift each other and not be so critical or judgmental or mean. And that's what that show accomplished. And was the finale fantastic? No, I thought that, it was kind of bare bones. It was okay. Ted, wants to go back home and see his kid, and then everybody moves forward. Roy Kent becomes the new manager. It's not surprising or anything. It did kind of feel like nothing was resolved between him and his ex-wife. But as far as just being a solid show to make everybody happy again, I think they accomplished what they intended to do.
Yeah. It's like
so there you go, Steven. I mean, you and I were texting about it earlier this week, and you were like, oh, I think you're going to be all pessimistic about it and say it was crap. It was nice.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's like Oasis. It's like listening to Oasis, and I'm just comparing the two because I've listened to
Wonderwall?
Well, it's just, you know what you're going to get. Like, it's nothing crazy. Their music's not going to, like, make you think. It's just an easy listen.
Oh, I disagree, sir.
What?
So Sally Can Wake, it makes you really think sometimes.
Oh, man. I'm going to look back on this podcast in anger.
That's actually only two Oasis songs I could think of at the top of my head right now.
Yeah. Champagne Supernova.
Oh, yeah,
in
there's
the
that
sky.
Too. There's that too.
I wish a pop punk band would recreate that song. In a champagne supernova. Like something like that. But no, it's easy. You just listen to it. There's nothing that's going to catch you off guard. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of like listening to music for the surprise factor. Like, I don't know what's coming next. I think that's a big problem with like hip hop nowadays. Is a lot of it is just kind of like,
same shit.
Yeah, it's just there's like a baseline. Like Jack Harlow. Jack Harlow hasn't done anything to switch up his music at all. Like, he hasn't taken any chances. He just sticks with the same flow that he goes with. Sometimes some catchy lines that might be pretty witty, but in general, it's just the same old thing. And I think that's like, and I think Ted Lasso found a recipe that works. And I think that same old thing works, kind of like with Oasis. They found a thing that works, and it does. Makes for an easy listen. Ted Lasso, positivity makes for an easy watch.
That was very Bill Walton of you to be like, I want music to be a mystery, kind of like a good Edgar Allan Poe novel.
Yeah.
When you put in a good album from the dead, you're like, who's gonna die in this song?
Is it going to be a Vincent Van Gogh or a Picasso where it's all up to you to decide what the artist was thinking? Or is it going to be like Bob Ross, where there are trees in the sky and sand in the shores of the beaches of Guadalajara?
Speaking of season finales, did you keep up with Dave?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I'm not gonna say anything. The season finale was fantastic. Actually, the last 2 episodes were fantastic. And there's a guest spot that may be one of the best guest appearances on a TV show I've ever seen.
I've heard that.
You already know what happens?
Yeah, I don't know what happens, but I know of the
person that's on.
I know of the person that's on. Yes, we don't need to ruin it for anybody, but I know.
No. If next time you're on, we'll do a spoiler thing and we'll talk about it. But that was fantastic guest appearance. Last question I had for you, Stephen, and it's probably the most important one. In the battle of old guy baby making supremacy, what is more impressive or gross in your opinion? Robert De Niro at 79 having a baby, or Al Pacino having a baby at 83 with his 29-year-old girlfriend?
Is it even more gross that gross is the answer to that?
I don't know,
one
man.
of them, and the Al Pacino one to me is just worse. But is it even weirder that I, upon hearing this news, started watching Heat?
Go ahead and say it.
I'm 2 hours in, and I just got I can't watch it in full because it's 3 hours long almost.
I'll let you hold on. Hold on.
Hey, Al Pacino.
Pause. Hold on. I'll let you finish. I'll let you finish the quote. But anybody asking why 83-year-old Al Pacino is dating a 29-year-old girl?
Because you got a great ass, and you're all up in it.
And you got your head all the way up it.
All the way up in it.
And then Hank Azaria goes, Jesus.
Yeah.
So something about asses.
Yeah, something about asses. It makes a man go wild. I love how he starts randomly yelling in that movie too. It's like it's just like he just realized 20 minutes in, oh, Robert De Niro's acting opposite side. I got to start yelling.
Do you know the whole story with it?
No, what?
So Al Pacino was asked this in I guess like a sit down about the movie, and they're like, "Is there a reason why your character is just so like demonstrative and screaming all the time?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know if this was really executed in the final cut of the film, but when we made the movie, it was supposed to be apparent that I was a drug addict. So when I'm screaming, I was supposed to be high on cocaine. And I guess they cut that out of the movie, and everyone's left wondering why I'm screaming all the time."
I gotta go meet Tone Loc at 2 a.m. I don't know.
Give me everything you got.
So yeah, short answer, Al Pacino. Much grosser. You?
Yeah, I mean, to each their own. But no, God, that's a huge age gap. Yeah, it's
Huge age gap between him and the baby mama, or him and the baby.
I mean, both.
He's gonna be like 84 when the kid's born.
Not only that, he's going to be 101 when it's out of college or out of high school.
I think Al Pacino can live that long, though.
He probably could.
Yeah.
Everybody wants my Dunkachino. As soon as I saw the news about Al Pacino's thing, I immediately thought of, God, I wish I could do a truth machine again of Robert De Niro calling Al Pacino, just being like, "The fuck's the matter with you? What? Fuck's the matter with you? I had this. It was me. I had the scoop first. Now you with this baby news, huh? You with the baby news?" And Al Pacino's just like, "Hey, don't judge me, Bobby. Fuck you. If you don't think I can have a baby at 83 years old,
You think you could
and
take
that girl's got a great ass."
You think you could take my time away, my shine? I'm the one having a kid. You're not having a kid. I'm having a kid. But you're having a kid? I don't know. That's a terrible Robert De Niro.
Oh, Al Pacino. All right, Steven. You want to end this thing with you reading tweets as Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Oh, I forgot. I wanted to do this thing where I tweeted at him. We might have to do this in the next podcast. We'll tweet at him at the beginning of the show talking about FUBAR. Just got done with hashtag FUBAR. Loved every second of it at Arnold Schwarzenegger and see if he responds in the middle of the podcast.
That's actually a great idea.
Yeah.
But you're lying to him though, because there's no way that you will watch that whole series.
No, I'm not going to watch a second of it, but I want to get a reply from whoever's running his social media. I mean, like someone told him, literally, probably going to start it tonight and stay up all night and catch up. Tell me how it goes.
See, that's the thing. Like, don't lie to Arnold. Like, he'll come and find you if you lie to him. But yeah, like make it something along the lines of I'm thinking about watching it or something like that.
Look at this. Look at this. He's replying to a tweet. Tell me that this player has seen FUBAR on Netflix without telling me they have seen FUBAR on Netflix. And he just quote tweets, "Ha."
Why? Well, it's the Nationals and who? What game is that?
The Diamondbacks. I don't know. Tell me that. It's the TV host. So they clearly said something that has to do with FUBAR.
Okay.
And then there's one, as a huge Schwarzenegger fan, I have no excuse as to why I haven't started watching this yet. None. Get going. Thanks for tuning in. I guess I better not stop tweeting.
I have been noticing a lot more of those tweets, and every time I just hear your voice doing Arnold.
It's because you're an action hero, Fortune. Oh my God. It's so good, man. I can't stop. I got to stop doing it. But the one I sent you a voice message, and
Yeah, I heard it.
I posted that to social media. I was really proud of it. Posted that to Instagram. I think it caught some people. I think I got a lot of responses to it.
Good. I'm glad that gave you some validation, Stephen.
It's a good thing that I don't. It's a good thing that. Never mind. I'm gonna stop myself in my tracks. Not gonna say what I want to say.
And on that note, thanks to everybody watching and listening. God, I think we were successful, Stephen. We tried to make this podcast shorter. We got it to an hour and 43 minutes.
We as a matter of fact, it was longer.
Yeah, maybe I'll try to rethink of a way to get this shorter. But hey, maybe it's good being a long podcast. Who knows?
We'll figure it out.
Okay,
we'll figure it out.
We'll try to figure that out for a week. Major voice crack there. Me and Steve are going to be at John Curley's wedding. Congrats to John Curley. We cannot wait to see our friend get married this weekend. I'm going to be wearing a blue suit. What do you think about that, Steven?
Damn, I was going to wear a blue suit too. What shirt you wearing?
White.
Yeah, I'm going to be wearing
So we're going to be matching then?
Yeah, we might.
I was expecting you to go like all negative and be like, you can't pull off a blue suit. But yeah, and I was going to be like, well, you're obviously not a good friend like Sydney, and I love you, man.
I think you can pull off a blue suit. Of course you can pull off a blue suit.
And that's all I need to hear. Guys, we'll see you next week. Steven, say what we always say.
It's just a great ass, man.